I am Syed Fakhar Imam with course title Media Writing. The course code is JMC-121, lecture number 12. Today in this session we will talk about broadcast writing. As you see on the screen, today in this session we will talk about broadcast writing, means television and radio writing. We are focused on television and radio writing, how to write a news structure. Today in this session we will talk about news writing structure, news writing techniques, news story format and narration for television and radio news stories. Basically, the term broadcast, as we discussed earlier, the term broadcast is both used for television and radio. So here we will learn the process of writing for television and radio. So writing for the eyes and ears. Our first point is writing for ears and writing for eyes. Writing for radio and television is different from writing for print media because of several reasons. First, you have less space and time to present news information. When you are writing for television and radio, you have limited space and time to present news information. Therefore, you must summarize the information carefully. It is very important whenever you are writing for television and radio, you have no much more space as compared to print media. So you have limited space and limited time. So that's the reason you should summarize the whole information carefully. Second, your listeners cannot reread sentences they did not understand first time, so they have to understand the information in broadcast story as they hear or as see it. As a result, you have to keep your writing simple and clear. Whenever you are writing for television and radio, so you should use or keep simple and clear writing. And third, you are writing for the ears. You are writing for the ears and for eyes. In print news stories, you are writing for the eyes. The story must read well to your eye. The television or radio news stories has the added complexity that it has to sound good. When a listener hears the story, it has to read well to the ear. Also, for a radio news story, listeners cannot see video of what you are saying. So you must paint words, pictures with the words you use in your radio news story, so people can see images just through your verbal communication or description. So whenever you are broadcasting a program or news on radio, so you should, what you can do, you should use the words which create the images in the mind of audience. As with any type of news writing, you should try to identify characteristics of your audience, so you know what type of information your audience want. For example, you are writing for radio, television, website, newspaper, so this is the main characteristics of your audience, so you should know what type of information your audience required or wants. So there are some attributes. So for television and radio we have some attributes, so we will discuss one by one. The writing style should be conversational. Write the way you talk. For example, you are when you are broadcasting a program on television or on radio, so your style should be conversational. Each sentence should be brief and contain only one idea. We do not always talk in long sentences. Shorter sentences are better in broadcast news writing. Each sentence should focus on one particular area or idea. It means when you are writing for television or radio, so you should use one sentence, one idea in one sentence. It means per idea per paragraph or per idea per sentence. So whenever you are writing for a radio or television, so you should use one idea in one sentence. Next, be simple and direct. If you give your audience too much information, your audience cannot take. Choose words that are familiar to everyone. So it means every time when you are writing for television and for radio, so you should use simple and direct words, the words which are known to your audience, because you do not know the limit, and you do not know your audience demographics, background. So every time when you are writing for television or radio, you should use simple and direct words which are familiar to your audience. Read the story loud. The most important attribute for writing for the ears is to read the story loud. This will give you feeling for time, transitions, information flow, and conversational style. Your audience will hear your television or radio news story, not read it. So the story has to be appealing to the ear. When you are writing for television or radio, so you should read the story loud. It means that your story or your theme have some appealing or some emotions. So then when your audience will hear your television or radio news story, so they feel appealing to the ear. Now we will talk about television and radio news writing structure. So now we will discuss news writing structure both for television and radio. First point is be brief. A good newspaper story ranges from 100 to thousands of words. The same story on television and radio may have to fit into 30 seconds. Because when you are writing for a newspaper or for magazine, you have a lot of space, but in television, in radio, you have limited space and time. So whenever you are covering a story, for example, the same story for print maybe 100 to 1000 words, same story for television and radio may be fit into 30 seconds, perhaps no more than 100 words. If it is an important story, it may be 90 seconds or 60 seconds or 2 minutes. So you have to condense a lot of information into the most important points for broadcast writing. So whenever you are writing for the television or radio, the same story, when you are writing for the television or radio, so you should condense your information. The most important information should be mentioned in radio and television news programs or feature programs. So it is very important point for broadcast writing. Use correct grammar. A broadcast news script, when you are writing for television or radio, so you should use correct grammar, because when you are writing for a broadcast news script, so grammatical errors will embarrass the person reading it aloud if the person stumbles over mistakes. So use correct grammar whenever you are writing. Put the important information first. Writing a broadcast news story is similar to writing a news story for print, in that you have to include the important information first. The only difference is that you have to condense the information presented. Only the one difference is here. When you are writing for print, the structure is same, but you should only condense the information. Writing good leads, it is very important whenever you are writing. So writing a good lead, begin the story with clear, concise, precise information, because broadcast stories have to fit into 30, 60 or 90 seconds. So broadcast stories are sometimes a little more than the equivalent of newspaper headlines and the lead paragraph. Stick to short sentences of 20 words or less. The announcer has to breathe. Long sentences make it difficult for the person voicing the script to take a breath. Write the way people talk, sentence fragments, as long as they make a sense and it is acceptable. Also use contractions. Use simple subjects, verb, objects, sentence structures. And always use the active voice and active verbs. It is better to say he hit the ball than the ball was hit by him. Use present tense verb except when past tense verbs are necessary. Use past tense when something happened long ago. So it is very important that you should use the present tense verb, and sometime when it is needed, so use past tense. For a new radio news stories, write with visual imagery. Make your listeners see what you are saying. Help them visualize the situation you are describing. Whenever you are writing for a radio, so you should visualize the situation. So that create the image in the mind of audience or listeners. So you should visualize the situation and which you are describing. So now the next point is television and radio news writing techniques. So now we will talk about the techniques. Use a personal complete name. Whenever you are writing for radio or television, so you should use complete name, first name and last name. Use phonetic spellings for unfamiliar words and words that are difficult to pronounce. It is very important whenever you are writing for television and radio. So if you have a problem in pronunciation or unfamiliar words, so then you can use phonetic spelling. So next point is in age references. Precede the name with the age. For example, the victim 23-year-old Ahmad Nawaz. Avoid writing direct quotation into a news script. If at possible, instead let people say things in their own words during sound bites. A sound bite is the exact words spoken by someone in his or her own recorded voice. If you must use a direct quote, set it off with such phrases. In the word of or as he put it, or try to paraphrase as much as possible. Avoid saying quotes and unquote to lead into or end a direct quote. The attribution should come before a quotation, not after it. In contrast, to write for a print media, the attribution of paraphrased quotation in broadcast stories should be in the beginning of sentences before the paraphrase. The listener should know where the quotation is coming from before hearing the quote. Avoid most of all the abbreviations even in second reference unless it is well-known abbreviation. This is different from the Associated Press styles rules for print stories. Write out days, months, states, military titles each time. About only acceptable abbreviations are Mr., Mrs. and Dr. Punctuate by using happen in between commonly used abbreviations. For example, write US instead of U-S instead of US, UN United Nations, and UK United Kingdom. Avoid symbols when you are right. For example, the dollar sign should be never used in broadcast writing. For example, every signs whenever you are writing for radio and television, so never use the signs and symbols. Just use the complete word. Always spell out the word completely. This is also different from the Associated Press styles when you used print news stories. Use correct punctuation and do not use semicolon. Use double dash marks for a longer pauses than commas. Use underlines for emphasis. Use number correctly. It is also important whenever you are writing for television or radio or for print writing. So spell out numbers through 11. This is different from Associated Press style as well from printing stories, which spell out 1 through 9 and starts using numbers from 10 and above. So use numbers for 12 to 999. So it is very important whenever you are writing for a television and radio show, use number correctly. For example, 33,214 million. So round off number unless the exact number is significant. Example, use a little more than $34 million, not 34 million. 200,000, not $22. Now we will talk about television and radio news story format. Broadcast news stories are typed double spaced and in uppercase and in lowercase. As we know that whenever you are writing for a television and radio, the format is in upper and in lowercase. Many years ago, television news scripts were written in all upper cases, but now the practice has been changed. Now you can use both upper and lower cases, but with double space. Make the sentence at the bottom of page a complete sentence. Do not split sentence between pages. Never split your sentences between the pages. Never split your words or phrases from one line to next line. Sometime whenever we are writing like a journalist, we are writing for print media or electronic media or radio or for television. So sometime we are what we are going to do, sometime we are splitting sentences between pages, and sometime we are splitting words or phrases from one line to other line. So never split words or phrases from one line to another lines. Do not use copy editing symbols, because if you are using copy editing symbols, so it's unethical. So cross out the entire word and write the corrected word above. This is one reason why broadcast news scripts are double space. So why we are talking about double space? When you are going to type double space and upper and lower case, so it means that there is a when you have some errors or you have some you need some correction, so double space, so you will have room to make correction between the lines. For example, you have 2-3 lines and there is some need of correction or there is some correction, so you should have a, if you have a double space, so you will have room to make correction between the lines. So it means never use copy editing symbols. Now the last one is narration, television and radio news stories. So it is very important when you are writing for television and radio. It means when you are writing for eyes and ears, when you are writing for broadcast media, when you are writing for electronic media. So we also discussed the news structure, how should be the news structure. Then we discuss the techniques, what should be the techniques for news and television and radio news. Then we talk about the format. Now we will talk about and discuss the narration.